talking to her, like, quit grabbing the wig. And then when she got a knee to the head, Mercedes, she crumples while she's holding onto her hair so it doesn't fall off her head.
No, this match became the wig match. This match was Bruno Sammartino and Killer Kowalski's worst nightmare. Everything that happened, whether she did something or something was done to her, no matter how devastating, she went right for the wig. To hold it, to pull it back into place. This match became about the wig.
And again, I don't know how she's been wrestling with a goddamn wig on to begin with, but maybe this was new glue or something. You know, Arn Anderson's first match, he wore a toupee. And he found out that you can't wrestle wearing a fucking toupee. But anyway, they did a tug of war with the kendo stick, and then Sheeta grabbed it and brought it in the ring, and Aubrey Ed just stood and stared at her while she's got a kendo stick. Like, oh, you better not do anything with that. The fuck is the matter with these people? And then here was another babyface that wouldn't hit the heel. She was like, I could crack this woman. Well, and so she throws down the kendo stick that she brought in the ring to begin with. And then they did more awkward back and forth, and then Mercedes hit that sloppy finish, 1, 2, 3, and won it by a hair, Brian. But I have a feeling pretty soon, if the shows don't get better, Mercedes is really going to flip her wig about it.
Well, taking a moment to fix her hair, and now...
You know, the wig is the story of the match. And again, how are you supposed to take anything seriously if every time you sell your head? No matter what happens to you, you sell your scalp. That's the story of the match. The bigger story is she's not over in any way.
Oh, God.
And...
Tired of being single? Find your match and start dating in just 3 days.
And we've been led to believe that she was a great in-ring worker. People always say, Jim never gave her a fair chance. He didn't review her and Charlotte or her and this person. Well, we're watching this stuff, and there's a lot missing. So, I mean, this match was astounding because of the wig.
I'm going to say this right now. This was one of the worst matches I have ever seen on wrestling television. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. And I can't believe that it went on. If they have producers or agents, this fucking guy that I'm about to tell you about didn't listen to any of them. If this was the match that was planned, whoever planned it should be fired. If this was not the match that was planned, and I can't believe it is, and with 40-something years experience in the wrestling business, I'm pretty sure that nobody wanted this match to happen this way, then Rush ought to be fired. If this match had happened 30 years ago, it would have instigated a fight, either a shoot fight in the middle of the ring or a shoot fight in the locker room immediately after it was over with amongst the participants. This was the most egregious example I've ever seen of a motherfucker taking advantage of a guy who doesn't know any better and couldn't do anything about it if he did. And that person was Jungle Boy. And while I don't know that Jungle Boy fully realizes how bad that Rush fucked him like just a complete bitch here, but let's face it, he wouldn't have been able to do anything about it if he had. Jungle Boy is one of the challengers for the world title in a four-way coming up on pay-per-view. Rush is a nobody. And he kicked the shit out of this kid, not only in a wrestling way, but in a demeaning... He did everything he could but piss in his mouth.
He almost broke his neck, it looked like, at one point.
Rush kicked the shit out of this fucking guy for most of this match from the start, and not only that, but acted like it wasn't much trouble to do it. And then they went to the break, and during the picture-in-picture, I was fascinated. I couldn't look away from even that little box. Rush took him out and beat his ass in the arena, over the rail and out in the crowd after the previous match. For these guys during a commercial break to go out in the arena, but Rush had job face on. He didn't want to be putting this guy over to begin with, I'm sure. He probably is pissed off that they don't see his brilliance and are not pushing him to the moon. So he decided to go into business for himself, and he's going to do whatever he needs to do to get over. And because the Lucha guys lean that way to begin with, he don't care. And he got juice on Jungle Boy. Then he got juice on him. And I'm pretty goddamn sure that that wasn't planned. Because why with this fucking... So he somehow, while he's rattling him around in the arena, also manages to bust Jungle Boy's head open. Not much, pap smear level, but he's still bleeding. And he's getting the shit kicked out of him. Jungle Boy comes out of the corner with a clothesline. And Rush not only no-sold it, didn't even register it, and then scoffed at it and brushed it off with his hand off his chest. And then they get on the apron. Where was it where he grabbed his dick? I didn't even write down the dick grab because my mouth was open. Jungle Boy's firing up on this fucking guy, and they're staring at each other. I mean, it might have been one of the chop trades, and Rush just reaches down and grabs Jungle Boy's dick. And the announcers were so flummoxed that Taz had to say something like, there was a cup check there, but I don't know where that came from, or something like that. So then they get on the apron, and Rush licks Jungle Boy's blood, wipes the blood off his head and licks his own hand. No-sells Jungle Boy's chops and belly-to-belly overhead threw Jungle Boy off the apron flat to the floor. Because this fucking kid's an idiot. He's going to paralyze himself for this fucking jobber?
That was the one that got me to jump out of my chair and go, ooh, because it was so close. And again, he has a lot of hair, so you don't know when you're watching it happen in real time how close, but that looked dangerously close.
It had to be Rush going into business for himself. And then after he did that, he poses for the cameras like he's the star, rolls Jungle Boy in, and covers him with a foot on his chest and got a 2 count with a foot on the kid's chest. And then he mauled him some more. And then turned around and shoved the referee, and Jungle Boy got a schoolboy 1, 2, 3. That's the way he won. If the agent went to Tony Khan and said, well, here's what this no-good, low-life piece of shit motherfucker wants to do to this kid on television and ahead of your pay-per-view, how bad do you want me to beat him up? And Tony said, no, let him do it. Then that takes the heat off the fucking agent. I got mad for Jungle Boy here. I was pissed. I wasn't happy. I wasn't laughing. I wasn't going, oh, look what he's doing now. I got hot that somebody could be allowed to get away with doing something like this to a fucking guy in that spot on that big a TV. And I guarantee you, I bet nobody said a goddamn word to Rush. I would have had his shit laying out in the rain by the time he got back from the ring. Fuck this fucking guy. We skip ahead to another reason 647 why I don't like Darby Allin despite my best efforts. He runs me off every time. Steve-O. Not Steve Olsonowski, the Minnesota wrestler, but Steve-O, the idiot from Jackass. Steve-O introduces the other idiot, Darby Allin, does his promo for him. Darby Allin still speaks like 5 words in this whole thing. Darby Allin is going to train himself by putting himself in a body bag, crawling up to the top of one of those skateboard ramps those stupid skateboard fucks jump off of. And he rolls himself in the body bag. Didn't roll, actually just rolled off the edge and dropped. What was the unearthly point of that? What was it? It didn't even look like a cool trick. He just fell off a fucking shelf in a bag. I didn't know that it was possible to make professional wrestlers look any more stupid and ignorant to the general public. But this fucking clown has achieved it. They followed it up with 30-second Darby Allin video with tacks in his back, climbing up on top of a 100-foot tall bridge and jumping off of it into the water. I just want to go on record as saying every time I see Darby Allin, I like him less and less. At first, I saw a fucking unique kind of baby face with a different style. And even though he's painfully small, if he was the only small guy around and you put attention on him and he can fight and overcome, blah, blah, blah. The more I see him do this thumbtack shit and this skateboard shit and jumping off of shit, I think he's a goddamn complete fucking idiot. What in the world would possess you if Tony Khan was say, I'm going to put you in a pay-per-view main event?
The best thing about West Virginia